Hello everyone, it's Noto Addiction speaking here, and I'm coming at you with another video. And in this video, we're going to discuss my gambling addiction story. If you're new here or you already been here, go ahead and click that like button. Go ahead and comment, go ahead and subscribe. And if any of these things resonate with you, if you feel any way about, oh man, that's happened to me before, or anything, if it resonates with you, if you feel like you're getting any value from any videos I'm putting out, go ahead and subscribe so you can be along for the journey and we can all help each other and possibly help others in the future get over their addiction. But anyway, let's get into this story. Basically, I started gambling like a long time ago. Like it was like a long time ago. I said I've been gambling for about like a good 10 years before I gave it up. So I started around probably about, I think when I was about 15, 16, somewhere around that area. That's when I first made my first bet, you would say. See, me, I was more of a casino gambler and not like a blackjack gambler. I was more of a, not really necessarily slots either. It was like machines, but it was like something like Boomtown. It was something like the tables that you played. It's called something we call fish tables. And we would press a bet. See, you would make a bet and you keep pressing the bet and shooting at the monsters and they'll explode and they'll pay you a percentage based upon your bet that you're shooting at them. 5, 10 cents, 15 cents, 20, so on and so forth. So it was like that. See, the thing is, when you're playing at the machines or the computer, your money goes by a little slower because you're just pressing and you're just pressing. But when you're at the table, you're just tapping and you're just tapping. So the money goes faster at the tables than most people realize that. So I end up getting caught up in that. So the thing was, back then it was just so fun. You didn't think nothing was wrong. You was like, oh man, I'm just in here to make another bet. Oh, and the worst thing that could happen to me is that I won on my first day. And I'm talking about I won pretty big too. Oh yeah, I walked in there with like a good $40 and left with about 500. Oh, it's not a bad thing. It wasn't a bad thing, especially being that young and having that type of money in my pocket, about to be on my way to college. Everything, like nobody suspected anything was wrong with it. But the thing is, that is the worst thing that could happen to me. Me actually winning was the worst thing. Simply because it put into my mind that this is a possibility and I can always keep doing this. But for everybody that knows how gambling addiction goes, the longer you play, the more you lose. And so I felt like I was the big dog. I kept going in. I lost a little bit, and then I kept going. So I was leveling out. You see what I mean? I was leveling out. So it didn't seem like nothing was wrong. I wasn't doing nothing. Oh yeah, I'm doing it. I lost a little bit, but it takes money to get money, right? Oh yeah, it takes money to get money. So you gotta put that investment in. Oh yeah, I won this. I get that. I break even. Oh yeah, you feel like you won, but yeah, you break even. So okay, one day I ended up going in there, and I ended up losing it. Dang, and I felt really bad. That was my first loss. Ended up gradually losing that 500 that I won over the course of about 3 days of going back. That's how quick it was. Because remember, that money goes really fast when you're on those tables, but you also can come up really fast too. See, that's what fed into it. So that's how I became $540. I mean, how I became $40 into the hole. I can't call it $540 because I didn't start with that. But you're still in the hole with that. You see what I mean? But it goes on and on. So I would get like a little summer job working there. See, I like to take my magic number, $160, to go up there and play on the tables. Ended up losing that. Won a little bit, but at the same time, what happened was I ended up breaking even. I ended up losing it all the way down to about $40. But I ended up hitting something. I ended up getting back up to the 160 that I started with. But you know what? For in the amount of a gambler and the amount of the gambling mind that I had, that wasn't enough. This is what I came here with. I mean, that's not enough. I came here with this. See, the thing is, I wasn't satisfied until I got to a number that I felt like was good enough to leave with, even if that took me losing all this money to try to even get it. See, I ended up eventually, after I broke even and came back up, I ended up losing the whole 160 trying to get up there. Now I was like, dang, if I can break even, I'll be okay. But it's too late now. You already broke even. I done went back down. I'm back down to about $20 now, hoping on a big hit. betting less than I was too, which was really insane. I was betting way less. Just to try to stay in the game so I can come up a little bit, build my pot back up, but it didn't work. It ended up sucking me all the way back down. And that's the system I kept going through, kept going through. So now that made me $200 in the hole. You see what I mean? Now you see how that starts up from that 160 to 140 and so on and so forth. Kept going, kept going. But the thing is, you playing, and I'll play, right? And I would end up winning like going there with about $10, ended up winning like 100. But you'll think you're on top of the world somewhat because you'll be like, dang, I got $100. I was like, well, I could walk out with this. I'm good. But you keep forgetting that you're about another hundred something dollars in the hole. You're still $200 in the hole, dang there. Because if you keep playing with that, you might end up eventually losing that. See, that's the system right there that really will take you down if you don't understand because you're having so much fun and are you get consumed with these fake wins. That's what they are. They really are fake wins. When you look at everything, because the longer you play, the more you lose. Remember that. So eventually, I ended up kept going, and then it got to the point where I would call these my gambling glory days. You know those days you feel like they're glory days just because you start betting a little higher, and I ended up getting lucky one night, and I was hitting. I walked in there with like $200, left out with about 5,000. Oh yeah, I'll have about $5,000 on me. Oh yeah, you understand the type of mind trip I was going through because it put in my mind to the point where I felt like I didn't need to work, I didn't need to do nothing. All I had to do was just come up here and play, and I will be okay. Nothing was wrong. Ended up getting a 5K. Nothing, nobody could tell me nothing. It got to the point where I even started making some enemies up there. Not bad enemies that just want like to hurt me. Like, yeah, I guess you never know when the mind of a gambler. They felt like you took money out of their pocket. Because the thing is, when you're playing at a table, there's a whole bunch of people at the table too. So that compounds with everything. So if one person win, this person over here thinks that you taking it almost feels like you're taking money out their pocket. Even though we're all making the same bet at the same machine, we're all taking the same chance. But if you're winning something and they're not winning something, they feel like, and they end up losing their money, but you're still winning. It almost feels like it creates the illusion that this person took the money that you put into it. But which you never know what the system is. It might have taken it from niggas. Remember, the house always wins. So the table always wins. You might win and walk out with a lot of money. See, me, I didn't stay at the same table and make the money. I moved from table to table. But the thing is, the table is always ahead. That might have been somebody else's money that played the other night, or that some people in there came in there and put a whole bunch of money in there earlier. But remember, just because you win big don't mean that you beat the tables. No, it's an illusion. It's coming from somebody else. It might not come from the person that you're playing with at the moment in time, but it's coming from somebody else. And that can create enemies. So it seemed like when I was hitting big like that in my glory days, and I kept getting up, but I still wavered around that 5K. And I ended up going down to like 2K. I ended up losing 2K over the next week. Because I was kind of coasting or whatever, but over the next week, I ain't care about it. I still got about 3,500 or whatever, about 3,000 left. So I didn't really care. I felt like I was on top of the world, nothing else, because I used to carry it to me. I used to carry it on me cash. I didn't care. I was in there walking like a king, feeling like I was a big man. And eventually, the more and more I played, the more that stack dwindled. It was this fat at first. I'm talking about all 20s, 10s, well, mostly 20s though. Mostly 20s. They don't like to really give you hundreds. Mostly 20. My stack kept getting dead just like that. Just kept going down. I ended up reaching in my pocket. And the thing is, when you're going to the tables, you just keep feeding and feeding and feeding. And the higher you play, the more you're going to end up feeding, and the more you're going to end up feeding. So I'm feeding it $20 bill at a time. 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20 here. Sometimes I start out playing at $100 and tap at like 50 cents or start, something like that. Trust me, that's 50 cents every time you tap the button. And we're tapping like this. That's all it is. 2 taps, that's $1. All that. Sometimes I might have played on $1, tapping, tap dollar, 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 dollar. That's how fast you can play at those tables. That's how fast you can go. See, when you get caught up in the illusions of the machines and the winnings, you're like, oh, I hit big right here, I hit big right there. But you gotta understand, now I'm $2,300 in the hole. Because of the money I won, I'm about $2,300 going down that I could have done something with. I could have took my winnings and done something productive with it, but no, I ended up playing it all back. And then what the delusion is, you end up being $5,000 in the hole, but you're not really that much in the hole, because when you take the money that you played, that you put into it yourself, it mine probably would have only come up to about $400. See, the winnings, I wouldn't really count the winnings because that's not the money I took out of my bank account to put in there to play. You see what I mean? So I separated the two and be like, oh, I just won that on the machine. The machine gave me that. I ain't really lose that money. So you know what I mean? That's the kind of thing I put into my mind, which is true. But at the same time, $500 versus $5,000, you could have did something with that. You know? So I was a stupid gambler at that. You know, I kept going up there trying to get more, and now I tried to trace the loss that I didn't even have. That's how powerful this addiction is. I was trying to chase the loss that I had. I was like, dang, I had so 5K. And now you will never be satisfied until you get back up to that number and beyond. Because you got to remember, when I was up to that number, I wasn't even satisfied when I got the 5K. Yeah, when I got the 5K, I wasn't even satisfied. You got to that far. So I went in there. I was real sad, moping down, getting mad, like, dang. Now I got, every time I go in there, I'm trying to chase, but I just kept losing. I win, but remember, the wins are not big enough unless you end up winning back to back to get to that amount. So none of this stuff was satisfying. So now this changed into me having fun to me being up there being stressing out. I'm up there stressing, trying to tell, desperately trying to make a hit, desperately trying to relive the glory days that I had. And they came again. It wasn't as great. But I ended up getting $2,500 back in my pocket, walking around like I'm Billy Badass, walking around like I'm good, like everything was all right. And no, ended up losing that again over the course of time as well. Remember, guys, you never win. That's just the biggest thing about it. Unless you win for the first time and you end up leaving, that's probably the only time you win. But remember, a gambler never wins until they quit. And that's one thing I never think about. I seen that comment somewhere on somebody's video of their gambling addiction, and I was like, dang, I could speak about this. But that comment really spoke to me and resonated with me because I never came to think of it like that. So that's why I had to stop. But it was so many other things, so many other factors. I remember one time, I ended up, this is further along now. This is not even kind of recent a little bit. Well, like I say about recent as in being like a year ago or something like that. That's when I ended up stopping. So I ended up working I had a job, right? But I ended up working a whole bunch of overtime. So, you get to 40 hours a week. But I ended up working from 6 to 5:30. I was doing 6 to 5:30 days. So almost like 11 and a half hours, just doing those for overtime. I did a whole week of that. I ended up having $800 extra on my check. And guess where that went? I lost $800 of my hard-earned money in 2 hours at the table. In about 3 hours. I'd say about 3 hours at the table tops. Trying to desperately play, trying to desperately win. I'm just going back and forth to the ATM to try to feed this money, going back to the ATM. See, that's what happens when you're not satisfied with what you have. Apparently, I wasn't satisfied with what I had. So when I lost, I was playing with it, right? My intention wasn't going in there to lose $800. No, I wasn't thinking about it. I was probably gonna play it with like my magic number 160. If I ain't come up with that, I was just gonna leave. I was like, oh, I ain't do too much. But after I lost that, I wasn't satisfied. I felt like I had to get that back. Ended up getting another $100 out of the ATM. Lost that. Ended up going back to the ATM again, getting another $100 out of there. Lost that. $360. Going to get another 140 out this time. Lost that. It was going up. It was going like up, fluctuate. But remember, I was never satisfied with my wins because I didn't get back everything. So I ended up playing it all the way down. So lost that. So that's about $400 right there. Gone. It's gone. $500 gone. So that's how it went. The next $200 or $300 gone. So I'm just sitting at the table like, damn. Like that, I'm like, that's one time, one of the times that I actually contemplated. Now I wasn't really serious about it, but the thought did cross my mind of suicide. It really crossed my mind. It really did. I ain't gonna cry. I ain't gonna lie, because that hurt me bad. Like I'm talking about. Not only did I gamble away my overtime, I ended up gambling away my entire check for that week. So I lost that $800 then, but I ended up going back because I feel like I couldn't take that loss. So out of the whole $1,800 check, I lost all of it. And I'm talking about grueling work. I'm talking about like I was in a warehouse tossing 80-pound boxes. I'm talking about stand. Do you know what the next day of work was like for me? It was horrible. I like my heart was sunken like this broke. I was just lifeless. That's what it did to me. Played that and I gambled my entire check, entire overtime check. Man, couldn't even pay rent. Had to take out a payday loan. Oh yeah, and guess what? I ended up taking out the payday loan. Ended up gambling that. So not only did I gamble my work check with overtime on it, I ended up gambling $500 worth of a payday loan, trying to cover for that and trying to get more to try to get back the money that I had before. I ended up losing that. So I lost that, and I got to pay back, and I lost some money from my next check that I got to pay the payday loan back with. See, that's how bad it was getting for me. Yeah, that's how bad it was getting. Horrible. It's horrible. I was getting to the point where I just didn't want to talk to nobody. Every time somebody wanted to say something, do something, I was broke. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I secluded myself from everybody. Nothing. It turns you into a person you don't want to be. But anyway, that's just part one of the story. I'm coming up with different stuff too, different videos for you guys. But this is Noto Addiction here, coming to you with another video, coming to you with more content, man. I appreciate everybody that'll end up watching these videos when they end up coming out. And if you're enjoying the content, if you can resonate with the content, if you have anything to say, if you've been through something like that of an addiction, a gambling addiction, just go ahead on and say in the comments and I'll read them and we can go on and share our stories and how we can overcome it together. Anyway, anybody can beat a gambling addiction if you're willing to work at it. I'm out. I'm all out of favors. Don't ask for nothing, had enough.